Welcome back to Informative Explainer TV, and today we are counting down top 5 dangerous inmates whose violent actions continued even while they were in prisons. Christopher Scarver, the man who killed Jeffrey Dahmer. You might be aware of Christopher Scarver, the African-American convict who ended the life of notorious serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer. Scarver was serving a life sentence for fatally confronting a former employer and was already known as a violent figure at Wisconsin's Columbia Correctional Institution. When Dahmer, infamous for his horrific crimes against primarily African Americans, became his fellow inmate, Scarver, realizing the extent of Dahmer's atrocities, took action. In a violent act of rebellion in the prison gym, Scarver killed Dahmer. As a result, he spent many years in solitary confinement due to the severity of his actions, solidifying his reputation as the institution's most feared and ruthless inmate. Robert Maudsley, Britain's most dangerous prisoner. British convict Robert Maudsley, infamously known as Hannibal the Cannibal, has a dark and disturbing past, marked by drama and savagery. Born into a home plagued by physical and alleged sexual abuse, he descended into a life marred by prostitution addiction and murder. Haunted by voices urging him to kill his parents, Maudsley considered that following these demands might have prevented other deaths. In 1974, his deadly actions claimed the life of John Farrell, whom he executed using karate. Despite imprisonment, Maudsley's murderous impulses remained uncontainable. In 1978, he killed 2 fellow inmates, Sonny Darwood, whom he strangled and stabbed, and William Roberts, whom he assaulted with a makeshift blade. Due to his relentless brutality, authorities deemed Maudsley extraordinarily dangerous and created a solitary 2-cell unit within Wakefield Prison, specifically to confine him indefinitely. Thomas Silverstein, America's most isolated prisoner. Thomas Silverstein, infamous for his violent acts in prison, began his criminal journey in 1975 when he was convicted of 3 bank robberies. His imprisonment did not curb his violent tendencies. He was later convicted of murdering an Aryan Brotherhood inmate and subsequently joined the gang himself. In a grim escalation, he was found guilty of a second murder, that of Raymond Smith, a high-ranking black prison gang leader whom Silverstein and another inmate, Clay Fountain, brutally beat 68 times in 1983. Silverstein also orchestrated the murder of Officer Merle Eugene Klutz, stabbing him 40 times with the aid of other inmates. As a result, Silverstein was sentenced to perpetual solitary confinement, spending over 36 years in a constantly lit and soundproof cell. Criticized as torture by the ACLU, the Bureau of Prisons created a special cell at Colorado's ADX Supermax to contain Silverstein's violence, marking him as one of the most isolated and notorious inmates in U.S. criminal history. Jaime Osuna, the face of evil. Jaime Osuna, known for his violent history and previous conviction for the brutal murder of a woman in 2011, was once found armed at a former detention center, posing a significant threat to guards. Despite this, he was placed in the same cell as Luis Romero at Corcoran State Prison. Osuna then committed a horrific murder of his cellmate, an incident too disturbing to detail on platforms like YouTube. This chilling event has led to inquiries, legal proceedings, and concerns about inmate safety within California's prison system. In June 2022, Osuna's trial was delayed due to a defense request and a change in his legal representation. His new attorney contests the claim that Osuna is mentally competent to stand trial for Romero's alleged murder. The brutal legacy of Pedro Rodrigues Filho. Brazilian serial killer Pedro Rodrigues Filho, infamously known as Pedrinho Matador, confessed to over 100 murders, including an astonishing 47 committed within prison walls. His violent tendencies began at 14, triggered by his father's job loss. His savagery intensified after his fiancée was murdered by a gang, leading Filho to orchestrate a massacre at the gang leader's wedding, resulting in 7 deaths and 16 injuries. One of his most chilling acts was killing his father, also an inmate, and his mother's murderer, by stabbing him 22 times. Filho continued his reign of violence by targeting felons he deemed extremely evil, executing a convicted rapist, and killing his cellmate for crossing personal boundaries. Despite his brutal vigilantism, Filho was released in 2007 due to prison term limits and now runs a YouTube channel where he challenges his monstrous reputation. Thank you so much for watching our videos. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more awesome contents.